mute until we get to like a question stage, then yeah, that would be cool.
Thank you.
No problem. Right, guys, so if you didn't know, my name is Shannon. I go by SIP. I am a producer, sound engineer, a vocalist, a musician, and a youth arts facilitator. And I have been doing a lot of these things since 18 years old. And now have gotten to the point of being able to produce and engineer stuff that is played on BBC Radio, and also preparing to go into and initiate a contract for syncing things for film, games, TV, as well as like pitching to other artists in the charts or trying to get to the chart. What I'd like to start with is no one's ever too far away from doing this. But to go through the means of everything that is around, and I know it's a little bit different now because post-quarantine some things will change, but to be able to look into schemes that will be able to help, like most 13 to 21 schemes are there to be able to help you to be able to hone your craft and utilize as much freeness out of your craft as possible before you have to make setups yourself or start paying for certain studios or different things like that. Some of the examples that I was going to give you for these schemes are a few that are within the neighbouring borough. If they do not apply for you in your borough that you're in, then always look at your borough's music service. So Hackney has a music service, Islington will have one. If you live in Waltham Forest, all of these places will have a music service that is dedicated to young people, and they'll be able to point you to different programs that their youth hubs around the borough use in order for you to utilize your skill. Now, I know there are a few, I know there's a spoken word artist inside here. I know there's a musician. There might be a producer inside here. All of these things are there for you to hone your skill until you are 21. Some of them stretch until 25. Rose Bowl in Islington is a studio. And I think that they do vocal coaching there as well. And also Hoxton Hall is one of them. If you heard of Hoxton Hall, these are Islington-based places. You've got the Youth Hub on Beechwood Road, which is in Hackney, and it's just by Dawson Junction. Rachel runs progression sessions, and that is for and different writers' workshops, and that's also to be able to hone your skills, for example. So utilizing these, what you want to do within utilizing these is not only take the freeness of, you know, what the government is giving you and whatever else and what everyone is putting out, but also utilize networking skills. If you have different people that are interested in different things, different styles of music, or if you're a spoken word artist, a rapper, a singer, and you want to see what it would be like to be able to form a band, enter a competition, such and so forth, then these are the people that you actually need to be able to speak to in order to be able to do that. Doing these things can lead you to enter into competitions like Alter Ego, like Boroughs United, which then again helps hone your skills. And the reason that I can tell you this confidently is because the generation that I come from, Little Sims went through Rose Bowl and Hoxton Hall, so did Koji Radical. There's an artist called Mira May, same thing, through Rose Bowl and Hoxton Hall. You have Malika, who goes by Hamza, and Cali Clear, who some of you guys know, that came through Hackney Empire and those workshops, ADP, to be able to hone their crafts. So if you guys are doing all of these things, you're on the right track. You're not far away from being able to mold your sound. But all it is just staying in the motion of being consistent. Some of the stuff that I've written, I've had to change up to be able to kind of apply it to quarantine. And because we've been secluded from everyone, it's hard to be able to be like, okay, cool, well, when quarantine is done and things start opening up, I'm going to go and find these services, because they may not be there for a little while. They may not be there, let's say, until the latter part of the year. So being able to use certain apps like Voicey, I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of it, but Voicey, to be able to like hone your craft, free app. I think producers upload songs onto there, and bless you.
Thanks.
Producers, pop yourself on mute for me, please, Brian. But I'm looking forward to your questions after. Voicey app to be able to use for artistry in the way of spoken word, songsmith, rapping, whatever you like. Producers upload their tracks onto there, and what singers do is they can record themselves and literally have their iPhone or Samsung or whatever phone you have, like their speaker from their headphones, and to be able to speak into that, have it recorded, and just practice things like freestyling, songwriting, seeing how people do it. One major thing that I would say is that the network that you have, the people that you're around, the people that go to some of these projects that I've been speaking to you about, are going to be the people that you can always bounce off for musical inspiration. Once you get to a certain level and you start to be recognized, and I know it feels like I'm skipping a bit in between there, but it could happen at any time with you just posting with people. You get discovered in many ways, whether you get discovered by competitions, whether you get discovered by social media, whether you go to open mics with your craft to be able to practice, to be able to create your catalog. And when I say your catalog, it means how many people have you worked with, how many songs have you worked on. You need that network. You need to be able to make sure that you don't feel within yourself that your ideas are not getting stale. You might, within a year, you might sit down and write like 20 songs minimum, but then something inside yourself might say, oh, that one sounds the same-ish as that because I've done it all myself. Feel free to be able to work with other people that are of your age range or your age mates. Or even look for mentors that might give you an hour or two to be able to work with, to be able to work on some stuff. That's very important too. These things are free things, like speaking to people, networking, asking questions, and working with, finding a space to be able to work in them. All of these things all surround the same thing. Another thing to be able to help with this change in quarantine is, and I know it sounds like, yeah, but I do that anyway, but expanding your information bubble. Now, when I say information bubble, the way that social media and the internet works is it creates a bubble around a lot of the things that you look for in the way of music, in the way of information, things that you look for, memes, jokes, everything. Expand that by going to different people and asking what you watch and what they watch. If you're working on sound engineering, or you're working on like your musicianship and you're learning something, you know, just like, if I was to record this with someone that has like studio equipment, what would be the best way of operating? Things to watch on YouTube, I would say, would be Pensado's Place. Pensado is a legendary sound engineer, and he's worked with a load of people. Literally, when you do music in places like LA, different things like that. Hi Faith, how you doing?
Good.
Pop yourself on mute for me, please, quickly. But if you want to have your camera on, like, you're absolutely welcome to. Pensado's place, as I was saying, like, once you're an engineer that works in LA or Houston or different things like that, because of the nature of everyone wanting to work with everyone and knowing about networking and just being a part of a session, like a producer session or a songwriting session or an engineering session, you get to be able to work with a lot of people, learn a lot of things, and word of mouth is something that still is one of the most powerful things for someone to be able to say, oh, you should work with this guy. And the older you get, it's the same thing. Like, word of mouth is always the best thing, and people putting your name forward. So this guy worked with everyone, and he's actually created almost certain sounds for certain artists in the way that he's mixed down their stuff, in the way that he's mastered, and the process of doing that. I would say Producer Grind 2.0 is a brilliant site as well. You have people that have worked with all of the greats like Pharrell, Timbaland, worked with the Jay-Z's and different things like that. And they will tell you how they got a certain sound for probably something that was one of your favorite songs, or something that is a classic song as well. To be able to listen to these things and then take that knowledge and then be a part of like a music session in a place like a Rose Bowl, in a place like a Rising Tide, where you're just sitting in and seeing how certain people work around the software. You get to learn a lot of things. I would say sitting into a mastering session as well is a very eye-opening thing. Now, the difference between taking a song that you have written, taking it to record, having it, and the terminology here would be having it dry, and then the engineer coming in and having to put different things like your EQ, your reverbs, your tuning, if you're singing and you want a little bit of tuning to be able to have like the Travis Scott sound or the T-Pain sound or the Kanye West sound, to be able to see what they do and just simply ask the questions, like being present in the room and like just not fade into the background is one of the most important things. Like, no matter what you do, like whether it be the musicianship, whether it be like just recording in the booth or like producing, like asking about the next phase on and learning about it will never be a problem, because it allows you to learn vocabulary, it allows you to see certain things that can make you particular about your craft. Now, once you're particular about your craft, you might hear the engineer do something and you'll be like, yeah, I like that. And then learn it for next time if you have to use another engineer and say, you know what, the last person did that I like, that I kind of want to add to my signature would be such and such and so forth. Or to go the other way around, you could be like, I see what you did there. I know that you added this to that and whatever else, like whatever the terminology would be in that case. So, for example, if you wanted a song that was kind of like slow, eerie, or you wanted like, let's say, a Janae Aiko vibe, or if you're a guy, you wanted like a Brian Ferraz sound, like you would need a lot of reverb, you need a lot of echo at certain bits. And to be able to use that terminology to be able to guide the engineer and for you guys to sync on a level to be able of understanding can only help the music. It stops a lot of back and forth, and it just saves a lot of time. Even though we're talking about 3 ways of doing things, to be able to save your time is very important, because you could see a gap in the market of what you're looking for. You could be like, okay, if I drop this now for this day, or I have a deadline, then saving time is the best thing. So if I learn as much as I can, communicate, there's less back and forth, and then you go from there. So that is always helpful. Sitting in certain sessions, being able to learn about the mixing and the mastering process. Just taking something from, I'm not sure if a lot of you guys was in Scully's workshop the other day, but there was something very insightful that he said. And he was just like, you need a result before you can kick off in your industry and have your incline. Now, to be able to get that result takes a lot of this time and a lot of this development. It doesn't just happen overnight. I certainly know that when I first started producing, because from the ages of 7 to 15, I was taking a lot of piano exams with this place called Trinity in Guildhall. I know a lot of you might, if you guys know your music, you'll know of Guildhall University and Trinity University doing degrees and different things like that. But when you're learning an instrument, you have your grades, and you usually go from initial, then grade 1, right up to grade 8. And once I got to grade 7, I started to listen to a lot of music and use my ears. And I was just like, I can play this, but then when the drums come in or when the violins come in, I don't know many people that play violin the level to what this song is. If I find them, I'll more than gladly work with them. But then even then, how do we record it and turn it into a song and give it to people? And that's what sparked my interest from the age of 14, 15 in producing and engineering. And I would go to my school studio and we'd sit down, we'd play with songs, and we'd take old Kanye West songs or old Swiss Beats songs, and we'd rap over them. But then also what we'd do is we'd create certain drops and do different things that are unique to the actual song and create gaps and different things like that. And learning that then takes you to a next stage of, okay, cool. So if you're recording and the microphone is moving a bit funny, and when you're speaking, it has a delay of 2 seconds, how do you sort that out? Being in a room with an engineer and all of those things and people that actually know the craft better than you will always open your mind to if you decided to be in that room by yourself and try it by yourself, or even download the software for free and try it and see if you can work it by yourself. That is always one of the best things. So think about that incline. From there, from that stage now, you might start working and involving with other people, still on maybe amateur or semi-pro level, but the more people that you work with and the more that you develop that craft and kind of create almost a friendly competition between it, is the better that you're going to get. You might study a little bit in college or literally just read up on some stuff and try and go from there. I would say once I was developing, some of my best beats in development was around being around other producers and us being okay, cool, let's see if we can make a grind beat in the next hour and a half. And I would turn around, and having the skills I already have as a musician, I was just okay, cool. If I did something like this and then put a beat to it and kept it as simple as possible, then I could build up on it, but not build too much, and then see if someone could spit on it or sing on it or whatever else. And that, once you start to do that, you're just okay, right. So then you go and you listen to the radio, or you listen to someone's DJ set on Instagram or Mixcloud or whatever else, and you start to get that belief where you're just like, oh, do you know what? A little bit more tweaking and my stuff might actually be as good as, like, we're recording. There is an artist that I have never really had the strongest esteem for. I will not name his name because we are recording, but I always used to listen to this artist on a One Extra or on Kiss or like one of these major radio stations. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, this guy isn't that great in the way of like, not to put them down, but I'm just like, I know my stuff isn't that great right now, but this guy, his stuff isn't that great. So I must be able to equal him and then push myself and see if I can get better that way. So I used to say, if da-da-da-da is on the radio, I must find an artist to be able to work with, even if it's not one of my own songs, to be able to get on the radio. And once you start to constantly work towards that goal, that is how you get your incline. Then you'll start talking to the radio hosts. Like, networking doesn't just go with going to these youth arts projects. It also involves taking your time in half term, seeing what's on, going to a project where there is going to be a seminar. And these people, you'll be like, okay, so in a lot of the seminars that are out there, they'll be like, does anyone want to play their track? And you have to have the confidence to be like, whatever I get told, it's only going to make me better. It might sting a little bit if it's not ready, or I need to be prepared a little bit more for a next stage, but the advice that I'm going to get is only going to help. Like, think of yourself as like raw food that needs a little bit of seasoning. Like, that person could just give you the little bit, like the little Salt Bay movement, and then you're just like, okay, cool. Right. So people are going, okay, there's something there. Like, always go to these things, speak to the Scullys, myself, who are the people that we've had jams involved with Hackney Empire. We've even had guests at one of the events that I've been on, but again, to be able to be around this stuff, ask questions, like, you never know. You could be the next. I think there's an artist that's just come out in the last 3 or 4 years. I think ZZ, I think his name is. And you could be that next person if you feel like you're ready, or if you feel like you need that last little bit of guidance. That little bit of guidance could get you on a song with someone that would be like, okay, I like your stuff. I feel like you just need to do a little bit of such and such and so forth, and then you go from there. Like, and literally, that's the only thing that you need to worry about when it comes to your income. Just working with people, honing your craft, and not being afraid to be able to see someone else's thing and being like, I'm not like. It's very easy to look at something and be like, okay, cool. If I speak or if I big up someone, they're going to feel like I'm begging it. Not necessarily. No matter who we are, we're all human, and we all like to know that our craft is being enjoyed by someone. And if someone's got something else good themselves, most people want to be like, you know what, that's good. Like, all you need to really do is such and such and so forth. You will get some people that move like mugs and be like, oh yeah, that sounds blessed, and then just walk off. Like, not giving you any real feedback, not giving you any real room to grow. But once you actually speak to someone and say what you enjoy about their stuff and how it makes you feel, that's all. Like, as someone that creates art or someone that is a musician, like, they want to see someone react well to whatever they're doing. And that is your key and your insight to be able to be like, is it all right if I can have a little bit of feedback on mine? And they'll be like, you know what, email me, or they might be like, send me such and so forth. and they'll come back and they'll say, like, it's the same thing for producers or whatever else. If you want to work with anyone, like, it becomes almost very a sales tactic type thing. It's free to talk to someone, it's free to send an email, but you have to package it in a way and look at how other people package their things when they're sending, and then be like, okay, cool, I want to be able to get the best aspect out of this. Could you let me know if I add this? Is this something that you would be interested in? What does it take for you to be interested in something? It might just be their personal preference. They might respect what you do and like it, but it might not be a beat for them to jump on. They might, if they're really nice, it'll be like, actually, I can hear someone else like so and so on it. But at the end of the day, it becomes very sales aspect where it's just like, okay, if you get knocked down, you have to get up and try a next person. Like, almost as if like those people that you walk past that are selling charities on the road or whatever else, and they're just like, excuse me, and they'll have about 15 people walking past. It gets like that with your craft when you want to work with people higher than you. But once you get that one person that enjoys your stuff and wants to actually take on a mentorship role, then that causes a lot of growth as well. What I would say as well, when it comes to bouncing down your, what I would call your stems, this is a terminology that is used when you're recording anything. Could be your instrument, could be your voice, could be like a few things like some claps, or you could knock on a table and want to use that on a song. Like, to be able to bounce down your stems, which is basically turn everything into an individual MP3 for the sound that you make, or for the verse that you do, or for the lick that you've created on your instrument, is very, very important. Not everyone has the same software. If you're starting off, you might have like a little free GarageBand that comes with your MacBook or whatever else. You might have an Ableton that is on like a 30-day free download kind of thing like that. Turn every single little line that you see into an MP3. If you have a hard drive, USB, try and put these things on so they're transferable. So if there is someone that wants to be able to help you, then it will work on their thing too. If I have Logic Pro, it can work. If I have Pro Tools, it can work. If I've got Fruit Loops, it can work. If I've got Ableton, it can work. Because what you've done is you turn everything into an individual MP3, popped it in a folder, and taken it. Like, that is very, very important. It's important at every stage. It's important at mixing. If you want to record a little bit over the top of what you've done and add to it, everything can be added in a certain way and mixed down the same way, so it doesn't sound like two different parts of the songs, or it doesn't sound estranged from each other. All of these things be able to help to make your final song. And that song, being able to have all of the elements where your mixing and your mastering is all on point, could be the songs that pops for you, or could be the sound that pops for you, that gets the person that you didn't expect to get on it. They're just like, you know what, that's nice. I might put a little extra over on it with my producer, but definitely I'm bringing you in on the vibe and I respect what's happened and this sounds really good so far. They might just want to put the cherry on the cake. That's very important. I know a lot of people when you're in your element of growth and incline and you're developing your sound, you're very protective of your work. What I would say is you're always going to have ideas. If you stay in a creative mindset, you're always going to have ideas, whether you're able to record them, if you're just writing them. One major thing that is always free is engagement. We all have social media, and if we capitalize on our engagement, and we send things to people, and like obviously have manners when you're sending things. People may not be into every single thing that you send, or they may not have the mental capacity at the time. So always ask if you're going to send it, unless you're just posting it blanket on a feed and different things like that for everyone to be able to see. But feedback is free and important, and engagement is free and important. Once you've got that engagement, that could then help boost with your word of mouth. If someone then comes back to you, I know personally, I've said to, and I'm not going to pick out examples, but I said to someone that is watching right now, I'm going to give you some feedback on a performance that you've just done because I want you to be able to get even better. There's something that I see in you that if you just polish that over, it might just like in essence, it might just be something that is rough at the moment, but once you polish it over, it turns into a diamond. Like so, like give you the feedback now, something for you to work on, and then your next track might be the killer track. You might even look at yourself and be like, okay, I see it now. I absolutely see it now. Like, there's this thing, especially for the wordsmiths in this Zoom meeting, people that work with words, to be able to make your craft even more interesting, download something called a metronome on your phone. It ticks 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And whatever the beats per minute is, it will stick with that and keep you in time. So what I was counting might have been maybe 80 beats per minute. You might want it at 140 for someone that does grime. You might want it at 120 or 130 for someone that does hip hop. You might want it at like 60 for someone that's doing like a slow moving piece, whether it's like spoken word or whatever else. This also works for musicians as well. To be able to be in pocket, to be able to be and stay in rhythm, and to be able to have your, and I'm going to get technical with it, your stanzas, your paragraphs, all of these things when it comes to writing, to be able to have them bang on point, just like your favorite rapper, just like your favorite singer. So nothing is spilling over in essence. Work with a metronome. Once you have everything in key to a metronome and you can enunciate it to the point of everything is crystal clear, just like how you speak, then you know that you've gotten somewhere. You know that something different is going to be in touch with your music. You know that you may have been able to spit this fast before, but now you've taken it up a level just by practicing with metronome and being able to stay in time, where it might have spilled over or it might have been hard to catch up before. Even with musicians, being able to play at certain speed. If we've got any church musicians in here, which I think we do, to be able to play at a speed where, you know, it's a slow hymn or whatever else, and then you've got something that is classed as a shout or something that is high tempo or whatever else, playing at that metronome time can definitely just release your hands or release your fingers in a way where you end up doing certain things that are very impressive because you've gone through the different speeds of being able to do it. Like, that is a blanket importance across the board. One of the last things that I'll say before like taking questions as well is when we have things like new wave, which we had before, when we have things like ADP, stay in contact and find a place to be able to work with all of these people. Again, it goes back to networking and working with people that you know. But if there's someone that's really good at singing and you know that they are going to need, maybe they might not be the strongest songwriter, maybe they might need someone that knows how to play bass on a song and a drummer. If you can put that together for them, that is then creating a skill that can be used in the music industry where you can monetize. So then you practice in your free stage to be able to develop what you can monetize. And that is very important. Brilliant singer, a good drummer that wants to be able to grow, a good bassist that can advise the drummer because bass and drums work in tandem, a good keys player, and then all of you guys get noticed. And then once all of you guys are noticed and you can monetize your skills, then you start to work, or then you start to push your separate projects. You might want to get other singers involved in your craft. You might want to do certain things. And you just look at people in the music industry, whether it be here or whether it be in America, that have more than one craft. You've got someone like Anderson .Paak that plays drums, that has his band, but he also sings as well. So then that means if they wanted, or if they wrote a song for someone that doesn't necessarily fit Anderson .Paak's voice, they could get someone like her to be able to sing it. They could get someone like Chronix to be able to sing it. They could get someone like Jessie J to be able to collaborate with them and sing. Like, just having that network is very important. There's a musician called Robert Glasper. If you haven't heard of him, he's a keys player, and he's worked with Erykah Badu, a lot of soul artists over the years. And when it came to him working on his album, what he did was he's created that rapport with all these greats like Common, like Brandy, like Floetry, if you guys know of them. And he's just phoned them up and be like, you know what, I want to work on an album, and this first album I want to be with people that have a good vibe that I'm familiar with, that I like to call my friend. Do you want to do it? Are you available? Do you have too much of a workload? And it just goes from there. What happens now in your free stage is not going to be any different to what happens in your monetary stage. The only thing is, there's just going to possibly be a little bit of money involved for both parties. You're going to receive some, they're going to receive some, or they're going to want to, like, you know, split some percentages or different things like that. But it's still the essence, the music, the growth, putting everything together, getting it recorded, all something to be able to work on in your incline, your free stage. Once you're able to do that and utilize what's around you, there will be someone that picks you up. There will be someone that goes, that is a great raw talent there. I know what that needs to be able to polish it up in the way of like you guys as a body or body of work or just solo, and they will invest the time in you to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to take you to the necessary powers that be that I know to be able to help you monetize your next stage of your career. Getting that free stage, getting that growth, getting that incline stage of everything that was spoken about in a way of working with people, in the way of understanding how studio works, in the way of understanding how recording, mixing, mastering, all of those processes are only going to help once it gets to that monetary stage. Because once you can sit in, once you know how to be able to conversate with someone that you've never met before, which might be the engineer that might be quite shy into himself and just wants to just get a little bit of work done. Once you know how to make someone feel comfortable and in a room with you when they've never met you before, and just displaying a vibe of, we can work, I know what I want overall, but I'm also excited to be able to see what you can put to be able to add to it. And then hopefully we can be smiling and laughing at the end of this, thinking that this is a masterpiece, it's a great piece of work. All of these things are important. All of these things are important, and I would like to open up to you guys and see if you have any questions about what I've said to you. So basically, you guys can come off me now. Anyone with a question so far?
Thank you for that. I have a question on just general like things that you can do in mixing to kind of make like female vocal just sound like instantly better. Things that are quite universal that you can kind of just like tweak and put in and be
Right.
like, yeah.
Right, so maximizing the sound of a female vocal, being able to bring out the best things in a female vocal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So I can tell you a lot of things from a basic standpoint where if you think about EQ, so do you know about like the EQ staging of stuff, Brianna? Yeah. So to be able to make a voice sound a lot brighter means that you're working within, let's say, the higher end of the vocal range to be able to bring out the brightness, to be able to add a little bit of reverb and different things like that, can definitely brighten and be really good when it comes to female vocals. If you have Instagram and use it, there is a brilliant page that actually tells you about certain mixing. Hold on, I'm just trying to find it now for you. Give me a second. Yeah, literally, if you go on Instagram and you just type in sound engineer tips, like you'll have a load of different pages to be able to tell you about like soundscape and how to be able to work with different vocals. With female vocals in particular, because you want to expand like the sound of like a soprano range or an alto range, the brightness between 1K and 1K hertz and let's say 500 hertz is really important. You don't really want to be able to have something that's too muddy, which is below 500 hertz added to your voice. And the most important thing I would say is sometimes add a little bit of reverb, solo your voice, and just open up the EQ spectrum and see where your voice naturally peaks within the EQ. So, you know, when you open it up and you see like those little lines that look like mountains that go above like a middle range, and like some will be high and some will be like bubbling a little bit lower than the middle range.
Yeah.
I would say to be able to play with the EQ there and just see what makes your voice sound a little bit brighter. Experiment and see what things you can add to your voice in the way of like reverb, in the way of echoes, depending on obviously what kind of song that you're doing. And yeah, just literally the best thing to be able to do is search online on Instagram to be able to get a breakdown, search on YouTube, the same thing, to look it up to get a breakdown of exactly what you're looking for that song to be able to brighten or bring the best out of your vocal, and then just play with it, apply. Remember, you've got time, like there's no constraints where it comes to, oh, you've got a deadline of releasing a song at this time. So you have time to be able to play with what is able to make your voice sound the best.
Thank you.
No problem. Any more questions, guys? Thank you for that, Brianna, as well. That was a very good question.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, I have a question.
Is that Blessing?
Yeah.
Yes, Blessing. How you doing?
I'm good. I just wanted to know, for like a real beginner, what is the best software to download in order to start producing music?
I would say there are certain packages for free that you can get, depending on if you're getting a new computer or your computer might come with it. GarageBand is a really good one. There are certain things that you may be able to get with your computer, depending on if it's a Mac or a PC that can, help you with producing, or iPad or whatever else. It can help you with producing, but GarageBand is one of the main ones. And I have actually been in a session when I was younger. I was in a session with this American artist, and she wrote all of her songs on GarageBand first, and then took them to a producer and let a producer expand them. So she's just like, I do want like the element of like a guitar and whatever else. And then once you go to a producer that's like dedicated to sound and has like a huge sound bank, then you guys can go through and just expand the element. Say like you've got an acoustic guitar on GarageBand and like it sounds a little bit like a toy or a game sound, but it still allows you to be able to build your song. Then when you take it to the producer, or the proper producer now, to be able to expand, or like it may be the sound for you that you want to just put out and test. But if you wanted to take it to a proper producer and expand, they may have a something that actually sounds like a real acoustic guitar, which they can actually just play in on the keys. Or they might actually have the real acoustic guitar themselves. It might be a guitarist producer, and they may be able to like put it in as like they're strumming and different things like that, and then build over it. But I would say GarageBand, there are certain Ableton DAWs, and when I say DAWs, I mean like programs, which you can actually use to be able to start off on like the first step of developing, producing, and different things like that. But literally, once you do that and you start to put it out, you'll get the feedback and you'll know whether you're okay with the sounds that you're working with, or whether you want to add to them and take it to someone else.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem, Blessing. Is there anyone else?
I have one more.
Okay, Rihanna.
Considering like EPs, I was just wondering, like, when you have kind of just a collection of songs in the bag, so you invest your time and some money into them to make sure that they're good standard, what do you do before you kind of release it, or even after you release it, and when you're doing this on your own and you kind of don't really have basically, how, like, what do you do? Like, what's the steps to releasing it, and after you release it, what happens? You just leave it?
That is a really good question, and that's a question that like anyone that's releasing music here has to be able to go through this at least once. The first time that they release a body of work. The best thing to be able to do is first pick a select amount of people that you kind of create a little deal with. If I send this to you for feedback, do you want to be like someone that is on like a mailing list, or like literally, so you have like a broadcast list or something on the email where you allow them to listen to 2 or 3 songs, and then give their feedback on it. If they like it, if they think it's for them, what they think they would add. Always take it with a pinch of salt, because remember, everyone likes a different cup of tea. And that's just basically saying it in a way of like, everyone is addicted to a different type of music. Like, they love to hear this, but they don't mind hearing that. So they may not have the most to be able to say on it, but once you have that select amount of people and they say, you know what, it sounds really good, it sounds like it's good enough to put out, then that's how you know, that's how you build what you call your niche following. So the people that will just like rock with you and promote your stuff like it's their stuff, like once you put it out, it's very important to be able to have that rapport with people and have people be like, you know what, I really like your stuff and you really do some good stuff. So like, if I get the freebie of being able to listen to your song one time, like before it comes out, then I would promote. And that really helps push your stuff if you have a few people do that. using stuff like DistroKid and different things like that isn't as much of a free way. I'm not sure anymore because I feel like these people are trying to monetize stuff. But if you'd like simply build a SoundCloud following in the way of just following people back and asking them to follow you back and putting out stuff like, once you're doing an EP, there might be 1 or 2 songs that you want to put out to be able to test the waters, and then present it as, okay, I'm going to drop my whole EP and these 2 songs are going to be on the EP. Like, think about how your favorite artist does it and try and get into the practice of being able to do it. Think of like, I don't know, a Drake where he'll drop like, where he'll drop a mixtape or an EP and you'll hear 2 songs and then you'll hear the promotion of, oh, this EP is coming out at such and such a date. You could also give your stuff to DJs. You could also like follow some people that are a part of certain magazines or certain promotions and see if they'll do a free promotion for you if they really like your stuff. But yeah, those are like a few ways of preparing to be able to release an EP. And actually, once it's out, it's something that you keep doing. Just keep sending to people. Obviously, you have the manners when you're sending, this is an EP that's basically a R&B EP or a hip hop or rock EP or spoken word EP. Is it all right if you listen to one of the songs? And if you like one of the songs, the rest of the EP is here. And direct them, have all your links in one place and put your link in your bio and different things like that so people can find it easily and it's easily accessible. That is a great first way to be able to drop things, drop music and see how it does in the wider world. And then once you do that, just keep building. It's always great to be able to have a catalog, but when it comes to EPs, like 4 or 5 songs at a time to be able to test the water. And then as you drop those songs, you might make songs that are even better, but then you now have a catalog where it's just like, okay, I'm going to drop this here and I'm going to drop these songs at the end of the year. And then I can perform them, and that's a body of work that I can perform. And then next year, I've got these even better songs that I'm making that show my growth that I can put out next year. Was that helpful? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Thanks, Brianna. I would say I'm all right to do like 2 more questions, and then I'm going to give my, what was it? A challenge. It wasn't a competition. It was a challenge. So do I have 2 more questions? I see Isabella, Olivia. I know Brian and Sol is here. Any one of you guys? Faith? Any more questions, guys? Nope. Oh, is that another question from you, Faith?
This is a quick one. I just wonder, are we allowed to get your socials or anything?
That was actually going to be part of the next challenge, part of the challenge coming up. So what my challenge was going to be is if you have Instagram or Twitter, preferably Instagram, because I've got a lot more people on Instagram, I believe, than Twitter, but I might be able to source some people for you. Let me know and DM me on @SIPEEZY if you haven't got me already. What your craft is, what you do, whether it's spoken word, whether you're a musician, whether you're a multitude of things. You might be a singer and a musician or a singer and a producer. And I would like to find you someone that can give you some advice, whether it be like a one-time mentorship in the way of like just advice, or if you are of that level where the person really enjoys your craft, then they could possibly take you on. So if you're on Twitter, then at me at the same at SIPEEZY and a hashtag find me your mentor, please, or send me a DM. What I might do is, send me a DM, and I might do one of those little box things where it's like ask me a question or whatever else, and you guys can put your @ and then what you guys do, and I'll try and find someone for you. If not, give you the advice myself, and then see if I can get some advice from other people that can actually help as well that you can follow. Once you guys do that, this is basically a way to be able to open up networking and being able to speak to people that you know, that may be of a level where you want to get to and get past in your craft. And just feel free to ask them. Don't be afraid to be able to ask them questions about what they're going through now, what they enjoy about the stage that they're in now, what their growth process was, and where they want to be able to be. I know that there's a few people right now in this Zoom meeting where I've said, go follow this person, show them your stuff, and just see what feedback you get. See if you can end up supporting them at one of their events that they do. If they enjoy your stuff, they might open up a new avenue of people to be able to listen to your stuff. And that then comes with a new avenue of followers and a new avenue of future listeners for you as well. So yeah, guys, that is my challenge. Feel free to be able to do it. And if you need the again, it's SIPEEZY.
Wait, what is it again? I'm so sorry.
SIP and then 2 E's and a Z and a Y.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Shannon.
No problem, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
So everyone make sure you do that, because that is a very exciting offer for some free consultation and advice. And also, if you're a spoken word or a rapper artist, we have a live stream event happening next week on Tuesday on @HE Futures. So either come watch or come take up the challenge of performing, and that's with Sophia Thacker. So that's all on @HE Futures. And if you have any questions for us or for Shannon and you can't find him for whatever reason, you can just email me and I'll send you his details again. The email I sent you with the link actually has his @ in it. So you've also got it there for you as well. So everywhere you go, you're able to reach us. And yeah, just a big thank you to Shannon.
Thank you guys for coming. This felt like it's like a junior TED Talks for me. But and thank you for the clap, Brianna. I see you. Guys, thanks again, and definitely don't be afraid to be able to take those steps. It definitely will benefit you. Thanks again.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.